Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from a sad frog in the Today I Messed Up subreddit, saying, "Today I messed up by letting my niece and nephew use my PSN account and ruining my girlfriend's holiday." And I'm sure most of you already know, but just in case, PSN is the PlayStation network where you can purchase various PlayStation games and also in-game currencies, etc, etc. Maybe you already know where this is going. My niece and nephew are the best niece and nephew an uncle could ask for. They are bright, kind, good-natured kids. My niece, who we'll call L, and my nephew, who we'll call W, don't have many games on their PSN account. So, being the cool, stupid uncle I am, I gave them access to my PSN account to play my far superior collection of games. All was well for about a month. I knew they couldn't buy games on the account because all payments require a card verification number. But imagine my surprise yesterday when I get a message on Facebook. "OP, can you check your bank?" It was my brother-in-law, L, and W's father. W is playing Fortnite and he has 65,000 V-Bucks. Is this normal? My heart stopped. Their parents are great people, but not particularly savvy with gaming, consoles, or microcurrencies. I went to my transaction history on PSN and nearly threw up when I saw this. Identifying details had been cropped out. All told, £422.90 or $531 had been siphoned out over a week, with most of the bombardment happening yesterday. By the time I got back into the account to assess the damage, 20,000 V-Bucks had already been spent. I saw that the PlayStation wallet can be topped up before each purchase, so they must have paid for it by first buying wallet currency, which apparently didn't require a code. That's fuck up number one. Tell them to stop what they're doing. Shut off your PS4. I have to sort this out. I immediately unhooked any bank cards from the account and looked at what my options were. Nothing. PlayStation Store doesn't have protections against accidental purchases like this, and the best they can do is refund the amount back into your PlayStation wallet. This is money that can never be accessed again, except for buying games for motherfucking V-Bucks or some other bullshit currency. For all intents and purposes, I've lost that money. The banks can't do anything about it. So here's where it gets really messed up. Fuck up number two. My girlfriend is visiting family in the US and we're storing her savings for the trip in that account. She will have expenses sorted because she's staying with family, but she will be going with virtually zero spending now, and they had a number of activities planned which she likely can't take part in now. That was a very difficult phone call, and she handled it better than I ever could have expected, and far better than I deserved. I'm not mad at the kids. I genuinely don't think they meant it. I'm mad at myself. I didn't think it was possible, but then I should have done more research. I feel so terribly guilty for putting my girlfriend in this situation. The kids are upset that they did it. Their parents are currently suffering from stage 4 embarrassment cancer. And all around, the whole thing is just fucked. We're not a rich couple, and this one has hit us both pretty hard. So, fair warning. Double check that your payment security features on PSN are set up properly, or you could end up getting thoroughly shafted as we did. Edit, a couple of people have mentioned that we get email notifications on a purchase. This is true, but it's set up on a different email that wasn't set up on our phones to notify us. It would have dramatically improved the outcome of this if we had done that. Fuck up number 3 confirmed. Update 1, PlayStation support was closed for phone call today, so it will be tomorrow, Monday, when I can contact them. Now, I've heard of this when a while back when I used to have a Facebook account about a friend of a friend of a friend who this happened to, and they was pretty much having a meltdown on Facebook about how to try and get this money back, that they tried to give him, I think it was Roblox at the time, and they tried to give him some Robux, and they gave him a small amount but accidentally saved their details on the account. And one of the games they was playing, all you got to do is press a button and it just keeps buying whatever the item is in the game. So the card details were saved on there and it just keeps taking money. And I think they spent like nearly $1,000 on this game. Unfortunately, I don't think they got their money back in the end, but there was some people adding advice. Zamora says you can get a refund. Who told you that you can't? PlayStation will do a one-time, as in your lifetime, refund for this exact situation. I know because my son did the same thing. He spent up to $400. I contacted PlayStation and it took maybe 30 minutes on the phone to confirm information. Had every cent back within days. I never had to deal with my bank. Again, you absolutely can get it back. Edit. Highest ratest comment is about my kid being a little shit. Take says, never mind about whose fault it is. Someone has to repay your girlfriend ASAP. Not her fault or her problem. Blue and Cheese says the parents should pay you. I don't care if they are your niece and nephew. They just caused you a serious loss on money you saved. If my kid breaks something or does something like this, it would be my responsibility to pay that person back for the damages, even if it was an accident. They should pay you back, and before you lend them the account again, you should set out some no-buy rules so the kids know and are accountable if they make mistakes like this. Elephant Fart says, great name, my nephew did this exact thing to my brother. He spent about $480 in a month without my brother noticing until he finally got wind of it. The pun with Elephant Farts there got to me. When he noticed a notification from the bank, he was able to get it all refunded, even though the in-game money was spent. Needless to say, my nephew has received a lifetime ban from Fortnite. Not sure how he got it refunded, but he's strapped and definitely couldn't afford that. I was surprised they refunded, but he's assured me he got it all back. God, I'm such a child. People start talking about farts and fart puns, I'm off. So OP did give us an update to their situation. They said predominantly the concern was understandably for my girlfriend and making sure she had enough money for her trip. So I'll address that first. She's doing okay and enjoyed her trip. Her trip wasn't impacted. Now to the money. I want to thank everyone that scurried to get in touch to tell me that Sony would refund me in one-off situations. In particular, Zamora, the comment we covered, made both an attempt in PM and in the post to bring this to my attention. There would have been some wonderful pieces of advice from all sorts of professionals in the financial world who have outlined steps I may be able to take outside of Sony. There have also been some very generous offers to pay me the full amount back, which I have not taken. To those people, you know who you are, and thank you for your kind offers, but ultimately, you shouldn't have to pay money to fix what should be a basic consumer protection. This isn't your fault, and it would feel wrong to take money from you. Which brings me to the Sony thing. Unfortunately, having spoken to several people on the phone and having two separate departments looking into the situation, Sony will not be refunding me. I honestly wish I could tell you why. One of the operators said if we give refunds to every person that phones up, we wouldn't make any money. I have not missed out any information on Reddit or in my communications with them. I suggested that they ban Fortnite account outright and indefinitely, but they still didn't go for it. I'll keep looking at options in this area, but for console it appears that Epic Games won't help me if it's a console related purchase. I don't want to go to the chargeback route because my partner enjoys playing Overwatch with her friends on there and has a lot of account progress. The account gets banned if you charge back. My partner will of course get her money back either way. My sister has put in a request at work to cash in some of her shares to pay the full amount back in one go. Failing that, she will pay my partner back in installments. My partner has agreed to this and everything is amicable and good-spirited. There's a whole other conversation that can happen here about strengthening consumer protections against these kind of purchases. All other manufacturers and even Epic themselves, if you are on PC, will refund you if this kind of stuff happens. Sony refuses to play ball and bring its consumer protections up to the same standard, and it's hurting consumers who find themselves in these impossible to predict situations. And while it might be a case of playing customer service representative lottery until you get the right person to help, that doesn't really strike me as a legitimate protection. It's very disturbing to think that Sony might be counting on these kind of incidents happening and just how much damage could be done to someone's bank with absolutely no recourse. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Clear Sheepherder63 and says, am I the asshole for refusing to spend my money on my stepdaughter's wedding? Does come with an update as well. And says, my wife passed away when my sons were 8 and 4 respectively. Since then, I remarried, and my new wife and I have been married for some 11 years now. She herself was married before and had a daughter of her own from her own past marriage. Her ex-husband's story is its own saga, but suffice to say, he's alive but isn't in their life anymore. When we married, my bio children were 13, son, and 9, son, and my stepdaughter was 12, stepdaughter. For 11 years, I tried to make some bridges. I would get her gifts and try to make sure she always got what she wanted. I did everything I could to make her happy. I would drive her to school, but at her extracurriculars, I paid for the nicest private schools for her I could. Not to mention I worked day and night so I could give her the lifestyle she deserved. My wife is a housewife, a choice she made after she voluntarily quit her job in marketing. I tried my best and treated her just like my sons, but she continued to hate me. This came to a head specifically when my stepdaughter graduated about 5 years ago. While my eldest son had invited my wife, his stepmom, to his graduation, my stepdaughter refused to invite me. She had 2 tickets, but she only invited her mother. Her grandparents refused as they lived in my wife's native country. When I asked why, she said, "You are not my dad, you didn't raise me, and I don't want you in my life." I was heartbroken. I tried very hard for her to like me, but she hated me. Still, I paid for her college. I paid for both of my sons' colleges as well. Nevertheless, a few months back, she informed my wife that she will be getting married. I only found out when my wife told me. What was even more devastating is that she said she would come home to celebrate, and I brought a cake and balloons and so much more. Then last minute, she changed plans. She just told my wife that she should come over to her apartment without my sons and I. I was shattered. When I did eventually call to congratulate her, she just tried to end the conversation as quickly as she could. The last thing I had asked was maybe the honor to have a father-daughter dance with her, which she had shot down. I said nothing, but then came the bill, and my wife said she needed money for her wedding. I considered it long and hard, but clearly as she didn't consider me as a father, I said I would not be paying for a wedding. I told my wife that she had money saved up. It was her choice to use that if she wanted, but I would not be paying for her wedding. She was furious at me. She said she barely had any money saved up and I was being an awful person. I've received calls from all of my wife's family telling me that I should pay. Mainly her immediate family, like my father-in-law and my brother-in-law. The whole thing has become a mess. It has divided our family, but I'm still holding my ground. Am I the arsehole? First edit, I want to be clear. I will absolutely be paying for my son's wedding when it comes. Second edit, I want to also clarify that this is going to be far from a minor financial inconvenience. While I am sufficiently wealthy, it is not something that will not go easy on my bank account. My wife's family is Indian, her ex-husband was Indian, and my stepdaughter is Indian. Her wedding is going to have probably around 400 to 600 people. Third edit, my wife has been an amazing mother to both of our boys and our girl. She is a loving and a doting wife who runs a phenomenal house. She tried to get her daughter close to me as well, to little consequence. I also do not think that I could be where I am without her, and certainly before her I was nowhere close to where I am in my success. It is also true that my money has always been our money, and she does most of the accounting for the house anyway. If I do this, I will be doing this for her, not my daughter. Moreover, if she really wanted to, she could do it without my approval. More than half the money is in the bank accounts with her name on them. Long story involving bad business decisions early in my life, which gave me bad credit. If she wanted to, she could. She never has, and I do not think she will. If she does that, that'd be her choice, and even if she told me she was going to do it, I do not think I will stop her. Fourth edit. Some of you have DM'd me questions about my life. Yes, I do have one son with my wife. My wife had a daughter when she was quite young, 19, and we had a baby boy. It was not planned and he is 3 now, after my daughter graduated. I wish to keep parts of my life hidden because they were not important to the story, but some of you have mentioned that this may be important to the story as it may have impacted my relationship with my daughter. I assure you, she was just as cold with me before the baby and the event at her graduation happened before my daughter knew about the pregnancy. So as usual, people were asking OP questions and OP was replying to some of them. One question was, what does your wife want to do? It's her decision and money as well. You need to come to an agreement. Opie responds here, my wife says after she is married, she is no longer her or my responsibility. Traditionally, in Indian culture, after a daughter is married, she becomes the responsibility of the husband's family. Or so my wife told me. She is saying that to save face. Just do this one last thing and then it's over. Then there were some comments about the wife allowing her daughter to act like this and not encouraging her to work on their relationship, and Opie responded saying she has tried, and I think this is a very Western way of looking at the issue without cultural nuance. We don't experience the same societal pressures as Indian people in general, but Indian women specifically do in this context. The more I talk to some Indian Redditors, it is becoming apparent to me that I should do this for my wife. My wife actively encourages my stepdaughter to engage with me, but it is all to no avail. Someone says, how about a compromise? Opie responds saying, I think what I'm leaning towards and going to go for is a requirement before the check. I think what I'll do is I'll say, you have to go to 10 counseling sessions with me, and only after each counseling session will I give you a check. That way we can move towards progress, and if 10 counseling sessions are not enough to even get the ball rolling, then it wasn't meant to be. Maybe a request. Maybe I can get her fiance to agree with me and maybe just help her towards counseling. Someone responds to that and says, I just want to mention that giving an ultimatum or forcing someone into counseling will almost always give you an outcome you did not want. People have to want to work on things. Therapy will only help if she actively listens, participates in it, and puts in the effort to change things. As of right now, it sounds she has no interest in a relationship with you. I obviously don't know her as a person, but there is also the risk of her pretending to care for those 10 sessions just to get your money, and then she could just go back to her usual ways after. OP says, so what do I do here? Any suggestions that mitigate the most harm? Someone replies and says, I say don't pay for a wedding. She wanted to set the boundary of saying you're not her father or caretaker, so you respect the boundary by not doing what a father would do, which is pay for her wedding. I do understand that you are torn due to your love for your wife and wanting to honor her culture. However, it is not your culture, and in my opinion, culture doesn't ever overrule someone's poor treatment. She was very hurtful to you, and she should see the consequences of her actions. If your wife loves you, she will understand. Culture doesn't magically make respect and kindness to others disappear. And she sounds lovely, so I'm hopeful she will agree at the end of the day. And then there was a long exchange between Opie and commenters about the financial decisions that were made between Opie and the wife, but some part of that says, Opie says, it isn't about the money. Imagine the roles were switched and my son treated her that way, and I still gave him $160,000. What would that do to her? That would be horrific to her. Of course, I could never just give him $160,000. I would need her permission. So then OP did come in to update the post a couple of days later, and they said, after reading some of your comments, a lot of thinking and a long conversation with my wife and I came to a decision. Firstly, my wife understands where I'm coming from. In the original conversation with my wife, I put my foot down without properly explaining my reasoning behind that decision. I was just angry and I should have communicated better. After explaining, however, my wife sympathized with me and said she doesn't know what the right thing to do here is either, but she said she'd do whatever I think is right. After some talking and thinking, we came to the following conclusion. From what it's worth, we'll give her $50,000. This is more than plenty for a great wedding. It's less than a third of the $160,000 she wanted from us, and a quarter of the estimated $200,000 her wedding was going to cost. Whew. Not to mention her fiance's dad is giving her around $50,000. Between 40 and 60k. My wife also further informed our daughter that neither of us will be attending the wedding. This was a decision my wife made of her own volition. After informing her on the call, she came to our home to pick up the check. We told her that this would be the last money we would be giving her. She said that it was better we cut her out of our life anyway, as she didn't want me to ruin her new life. My wife and I were angry, but everyone held their tongue. She left and will no longer be a part of our life. Someone says in the comments, please don't give her the money. She's not grateful for you. She's only using you as her personal bank. OP says, it's already been given, unfortunately, and I'm a man of my word. Holy moly, that check would have been bouncy if it was me, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being a part of it all. It truly, truly does mean the world. And don't forget, at the very end of the video, there'll be a couple of playlists there that you can click on that will automatically scroll through the videos for you, so you can just chill and we'll do all that stuff for you. Thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.